This is the Creation PCut vinyl cutter. I believe it's also made by US cutter. I'm not 100% sure because obviously we're based in the UK rather than the US. It's a vinyl cutter that we use to cut the vinyl on to be able to make all the graphics and other bits and pieces like that. In this video we'll just run over it very briefly because we quite often get asked questions off of other people who know we've got one of these and they're after one, or they've seen one that's come up on eBay, as they quite often do. They want to know if it's any good, how it works, and we get calls off of other people who ask us how do you work them, because they're not the easiest of items to get going straight out of the box. If you have a brand new one, that might be slightly different, but we picked up ours as a second-hand one. So at one end you've got the power cable, which is where it plugs in. It's just a normal IEC lead, also known as the kettle lead. That just plugs in there, and also down there is an on-off switch. You can tell when it's on because it makes a nice noise. Let's just turn it off for the moment. At the other end of the system is a port where you plug in your USB cable. One just like that. Ours has got a little piece on there because over the years it's come a bit loose and we just need something just to hold it in place a little bit better. The USB has to be a high quality cable. If you use a low quality cable it won't work. We have worked that out through trial and error. It has to be a high quality cable. That's the only type of terminal we have on here to connect this up to our computer systems. We have heard of other ones that have the serial port, which obviously would be slightly better. So on the cutter itself, you've got the top panel here, which has got the control panel, which we will come to in just a moment. This actually lifts up, but when it's being run for normal everyday operation, it would be down. Then you have your bit that moves backwards and forwards, and contained within this, we'll just undo this piece here, is a little carrier, and you've probably seen this in lots of our other videos because that's the little carrier that's got the blade in it that actually cuts through the vinyl. So it's quite easy to actually change a blade. You just have to undo the top, you pull it out, and out comes the blade. I'm not going to run over that now because trying to get the blades in there exactly right and perfect isn't the easiest of jobs in the world to do. Now I'm not sure if you can see very well from this angle, but at the back here there are 3 clamps that slide backwards and forwards. Some others have only got 2 clamps on them. It doesn't really matter, but these are used to lock the vinyl in place. And what they do is they lock the vinyl in between a roller that's on the top and the actual roller of the machine underneath. So then once your vinyl is locked in place, as it goes backwards and forwards, it's all going to be kept straight, or as straight as you loaded it into the machine in the first place. When the machine is operating, it's of vital importance that you keep clear of this. It will go backwards and forwards, it will go quite quick, it'll be sliding up and down there. If you get anywhere near it and you stop it, or you jolt or the machine, it can ruin your whole cut that you're going for. At either end of the machine, just in here and just in there, are little red buttons, and they're stop buttons. So if it's going along and it's doing all the cutting and then you've made a mistake in your program or anything and you've extended it over too far, it'll go along and it will hit that stop button and everything will stop. It will come to a complete standstill. Now if you use the same programs as ours, that then means you have to restart the whole cut from the start again. You can't then go over it. We've had that problem a couple of times when we've been using smaller pieces of vinyl and we've placed them too close to the edge, and then it just goes over and it hits them. Okay, let's now move on to the noisy part because we have to turn it on to having a look at the control panel and how you operate this cutter. Okay, so I've moved the camera in now. I'll try and get it in as close as we can to make it easier to be able to see what's actually going on the control panel. Now the control panel on ours isn't the control panel it actually came with. The one it came with, it was all worn out, all the markings had all been worn off, and you couldn't really see what you were doing, and you had to guess as to where it might be and what was happening and what each one of the buttons actually meant. So we went onto eBay, we paid, I think it was £8, and we got this new control panel piece. It came from China, it arrived within about a week, and it was dead easy just to change it over and just whack in the new one. So if I now power her up, see straight away we went through, it told you what the cutter was. This is the P630, and it goes through its little updates, and then it comes up with online. Online means it's ready to print, ready to cut, sorry, and it could start to cut right away. So if we need to change anything, if we want to move where the cradle's going to start from or anything else like that, we then need to be able to take it offline. So there's a little button up in the top right here which says online. We just press that and bosh, it's gone offline. Okay, I just pressed pause then because I thought it would be a great idea if I actually showed you the cradle moving about, and I thought it only works really any good if you've got some vinyl in the cutter itself. So let's just bring the camera back a little bit. So now you can see where the cradle is, you can see the control panel, and you can see we've loaded in some vinyl. So we are currently up here, we are offline, and it's got the x-axis and the y-axis. Currently they're set to 0.00, which is the home starting position. So if I then press this right arrow, watch the cradle, you see it moves over to the right, and it then comes up here that the x is now minus 166.73, but the y-axis is still 0.00. So if I press backwards, I'll only go back a little bit, watch the vinyl, and you're able to see the vinyl has gone backwards. So it's now come up with y minus 48.50. These numbers aren't important, but when you want to line up where you want your cutter to start from, all you do is you move it over until this bit where the blade is where you want it to start from. Let's say we're really miserly and we want to use as little vinyl as we can, and that is roughly exactly on that corner, and then we just press this one in the middle and you'll see our numbers have reset to 0.00. That is now the home start and like a position of the cutter. If we then press online, it's now ready to cut, and it will start going through the cutting if we wanted it to, but we're not. We're going to explore some of the other options that we've got within the menu here. So we press online again, and that then takes us offline. So we know that pressing the forwards, the backwards, the up and down arrows are going to move our cradle and our vinyl about. If we then press this one here at the bottom that says mode, you press, I'll go back to the start of it, you do have to be careful a little bit. Right, so if you press mode, it comes up with press plus 090 minus, and that means the pressure that the cradle is going to press down onto your vinyl. There are some that need extra pressure, there are some that need less pressure. If you want to increase the pressure, you just press the plus button and it goes up in ones, and if you want to take off the pressure, you just press the minus button and it comes down in ones as well. So if we put that back to 90, there we go. And if we press mode again, it's got test, plus and minus. And I can't remember what the test one is because I've never actually used it. That's a good one. Repeat, do you want it to repeat a copy of what is just cut? And you can do a plus and a minus to do the repeat. That's right, the test one, the previous one, sorry, is to do a test cut. The repeat one is to do a repeat cut. The cut speed, now this is how fast the cradle moves up and down and back and forward. You're able to see now, I just tried to press that, and because it's turned on I can't, so I can't actually show you the speed of it. That controls the speed. So if you are cutting big long lines, great big shapes, you can go quite quickly. If you're doing smaller, intricate cuts, you might want to really slow it down a bit. If you have to use extra pressure because you're using the thick kind of vinyl or anything else like that, you might just want to slow it down. Speed it up is entirely up to you. If you really want to wind up your wife, you slow it right down so it's nice and slow, and then it goes nice and loud for a long time. Okay, so that's the cut speed. Then we have the X scale and the Y scale, the overall sizes. The board, now I'm not 100% sure on the board, but the board, I know that has to match what we do in Sign Blazer. I believe it's how they communicate with each other, how fast it's going over the system. But if you ever can't get this to work, even though you're telling it to work in the Sign Blazer, it's quite often because of the board has changed. So then press mode again and we come back to our start position of the X and the Y. So we just press that one again and we're now back online, ready to cut, ready to go. Hope that explains everything. Any questions, just ask. We will do another video very soon explaining about how to use the Sign Blazer program with one of these cutters, and the drivers for one of these are available online still. We've actually found they work best with Windows XP, Windows 7, and avoid Windows 8 and Windows 10. Hope that helps. Any questions, let us know. Like, comment and subscribe. Cheers.